Hello and welcome back to Fallon Moran Radio. I have been having a very hard time with my mic lately, and I honestly can't tell you why because it really hasn't moved. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about the subconscious mind and one of the most important directives of the subconscious mind, which is repetition. So let's dive in. So, as I kind of just gave away, the subconscious mind has 21 prime directives. And it's really important that we recognize these prime directives because we want to work with them when we're business owners, when we're content creators, when we're entrepreneurs, like whatever you want to label yourself or identify yourself as. It's incredibly important to work with the subconscious mind because you are creating content, you're marketing to people, you're helping people solve their problems. So we want to work with the minds of people, with the subconsciouses of whoever it is that you're marketing to. And so one of the things that I actually just posted was an Instagram reel about the fact that I started seeing results in any whichever vein you want to take it, whether it's content marketing back when I was, a content marketer and I defined my niche as content marketing, or when I was in debt payoff, or when I was in ninja notes and note taking online. Basically, the reason why all of those things work was because I kept talking about them. So what I posted on my reel was that I started seeing results when it felt super uncomfortable for me to start talking about the same thing, and I kept talking about it. So I'm going to use this in the case of my debt payoff coaching space because that one was a little bit more recent and it also is a really good example. So back in 2024, I had decided to start a new TikTok account, obviously. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do this all about debt payoff. I'm going to do all of this about financial coaching and changing our mindset around your finances. And that was my niche. I boxed myself into finances, right? And so what wound up happening was I was making 3 pieces of content a day, 3 TikToks a day. And I was posting, I don't know how many different kinds of videos in the beginning. And actually, I did start off that page talking about digital products. I wound up getting to a point where I put out a video about how I paid off debt and it just started going bonkers. And of course, my debt transformation was from the year before. It was from 2023 and I had just paid off, just over $25,000, $25,547. There are a couple of episodes, if you were to go all the way back to some of the very first episodes of the podcast, I talk about it in some of those episodes as well. And so I was going through and I was talking about my debt payoff. And then I started, okay, well, if I sign up for coaching, then maybe I'll start to see this through. So I signed up for coaching and they were like, you just need to go hard telling the story. And you need to say this literally every single time you show up on video. Here's how I went from, $60,000 in credit card debt to $30,000 in credit card debt, or how I paid off over $25,000 of credit card debt, or here's what I did to pay off $25,547 of credit card debt, right? It's the same thing over and over and over again. And I did that. I did exactly what that coach had said. And I started talking about how I paid off $25,547 of credit card debt endlessly. And I could say that as fast as I did because I said it, I don't know how many different times back in 2024. On top of that, not only was I talking about how I did this, or here's what to do for that, or, 3 tips on how to pay off $25,000 of credit card debt, whatever the case may be. I also was sharing opinions. And I actually had a video that I released about my bold, unpopular opinion about Dave Ramsey, and it went off to over 1 million views. And so at the end of the day, that started leading to some digital product sales. And the reason why is because I kept talking about the same thing over and over and over again. In your subconscious mind, whether you like it or not, when you repeat something, people are just starting to hear it. You talk about what it is that you do or what it is that you help people with or what it is that you say, probably the 23rd time you say it, because the subconscious mind is so inundated with its own story and it's taking things personally. Another directive of the subconscious mind, that it takes everything personally. Your story and your what's going on in your world is constantly going on in your brain. So it's almost like you are constantly in your own head. And the way that our brain works is it either deletes, distorts, or it generalizes the information that comes in. Because at any given moment, you have 11 million bits of information coming into your brain. And I want you to think of when I say bits, bytes, whatever the hell it is, I want you to think of technology in this case, right? Like your phone storage is maybe what, 125 gigabytes? Like 11 million plus gigabytes of information is coming into your brain at any one time. And so your brain is like overwhelmed. It can only take in so many of those bytes at a time. And so you have a distinction between, how many plus or minus you can have. But the way that the brain typically tends to deal with this is to either delete the information, you forget about it, you distort the information. So you might, let's just say, hear it, but you might hear something other than what was communicated, or it generalizes the information. So let's just take, for example, um, in the terms of debt payoff, that when you're paying off 25,545 for 550, you know what I mean, $547 of credit card debt, then you are like, okay, well, this is about debt payoff. And if I want to pay off over $25,000, I'm going to put it in this bucket, finances. And then it just generalizes you to finances, right? And so that's why when people are talking about being top of mind for something or having a niche, that is what they're talking about. They want you to kind of put yourself into a category. However, that does you no good because you want to not be put into a box. You want to be a personal brand. And the way that you become a personal brand is by repeating your transformation and your story and you, so that you become a box of one. So it's kind of like the idea of Tony Robbins, right? Like we don't say that Tony Robbins is necessarily like a life coach, because he's not just a life coach. He's a business owner. He talks about finances. He talks about, all the celebrities that he's worked with and all of the high level politicians that he's worked with. Like he's talked about so many more things. He's done NLP, right? So he talks about the subconscious mind. He's done so many more things than just be a life coach, right? Another example, Alex Hormozy, or we could talk about Brene Brown, or we could talk about Stephen Bartlett, right? Like they are not contained within a niche. They're not contained within a category, because what they're doing is they're creating a category of one. That person is the person for this business advice, right? Like let's just take Alex Hormozy. Like Alex Hormozy is really great at crafting an offer. He's really great at advertising, right? And you know that because he keeps talking about himself. He keeps bringing his face and putting himself out there, and he keeps bringing up the same topics again and again and again. You also know that Alex Hormozy is married to Layla Hormozy, right? If you were to say, oh yeah, I'm a business coach, and you were to just put yourself into the niche of a business coach, then you wouldn't be able to differentiate and distinguish who you are also connected with, right? So building out that personal brand and repeating your name and like continuously showing your face and continuously talking about other different things actually does you a service, because you're repeating to other people, this is me, this is who I am, this is what I'm about. And when you're repeating that, then people are going to remember you. They're going to remember you repeating that because you repeat it so many different times. So it does you a service to work with the subconscious minds of your audience by repeating, even if it's so silly. Like I always say all the time, and I'm sure there are going to be some people in Kitchener, Ontario who are listening to this podcast that I say, when I introduce myself, I say, hi, my name is Fallon. It's like Jimmy Fallon, but it's my first name. And I say it every single time because number one, people have a hard time saying my name. Okay. Number two, not very many people have my name. And if there's a celebrity who does have my name, I'm going to use them as leverage so that people know how to say my name. And number three, if I were to say, oh yeah, my name's like Fallon, but like Jimmy Fallon, but it's my first name. And what I'm doing is I'm giving my own brand a little bit of a style, a little bit of humor, a little bit of